Hey, it's Barbara Santon here. I'm a midwife and a mindset coach, and I want to talk more about masculine and feminine traits, or masculine and feminine energies, or attributes. Any of those. We hear a lot these days about masculinity and femininity, and to me, it is more of an energy. And we have both inside each of us. And women don't only have femininity, and men don't only have masculinity. In fact, the goal and the ideal way to have both is that it's balanced and that we know exactly when to use one versus another in different situations. I am a relationship coach, and in relationships, it is ideal for one to have more feminine energy and one to have more masculine energy. And it doesn't have to be the woman that has more feminine or the man that has more masculine. Although most of the time, especially in heterosexual relationships, the man is more masculine and the woman is more feminine. Or, in the very least, if they aren't that way, they want to be. And their dynamic has just been such that the woman often shows up more masculine because our world is so masculine. And usually if we run a business or if we have a very a high level job, or any job really, it requires masculine energy, and it causes us to also show up in our relationships masculine. Then the man in that relationship, even though he might in his essence be masculine, if the woman is filling the masculine too much, the man will start to decrease his masculine and start filling in the feminine, because there is femininity needed to create wholeness in that union, if that makes sense. So ideally, one person is more masculine, one person is more feminine, and even more ideally, you both, each of you identifies with an opposite energy. Most heterosexual couples, the man identifies more with masculinity and the woman identifies more with femininity, and both, especially when they're having trouble in their relationship, both are out of balance and sometimes even neutralizing out the energies, causing lack of passion. So what I want to talk about today is what are the qualities of a sort of embodied and healthy masculine and an embodied and healthy feminine. So there are also sort of there are also shadow traits, or unhealthy or wounded masculine and feminine traits that we show up with. So, for example, a very aggressively sexual male, that's not his true, deep, whole masculine. That's his wounded masculine showing up sort of with an overly active, aggressive side, whereas most men do have that aggressive or drive. They have the drive, but the aggression about the drive to sort of get the woman or get the job, that part is the unhealthy part. Does that make sense? So all of us have these qualities. It's which ones are more prominent that make it, or how prominent they are that make it more or less sort of wounded or healthy. I hope I'm making sense. So the masculine, as I already mentioned, I'm just looking at my notes. So sort of wounded or unhealthy parts of the masculine are aggression, boastfulness, domination, being vain, brazen, egocentrical, violent, act without thinking, clumsy, overly logical, indifferent, combative, defiant, argumentative, and compulsive. But the healthy, balanced side of the masculine, of those same ones, are authoritative, certain, self-assured, courageous, goal-oriented, protective, physical, black and white. can be very, very, very helpful, right? If you're a woman watching this, it can sort of irritate us sometimes. But when we have a man in our life that is sure, that makes decisions based on sort of black and white decisions, and goes for it, that's very attractive. They're men are often, masculine men are very often very logical, and sometimes when they become overly logical, it's out of balance. So having the taking that edge off with being a little bit more easygoing, or being aware of not being overly logical, that is very that's a very good, wholesome masculine man. The healthy masculine is ambitious, funny, active, action oriented, and many more things. So that's a list that I've come up with that is sort of a preliminary list. And for feminine, there's also the wounded or the immature feminine, and then the sort of the queen, the really well-rounded, secure, whole feminine. So I'll start with the wounded. Okay, so the weak or the unhealthy feminine is shy and timid, flaky, spacey, drama queen, insecure, gossipy, hysterical, passive or submissive. That's not true feminine, although it's often misinterpreted as that. Thinking without acting. Think without acting. No. Acting without thinking. So just like impulsiveness, fragile, illogical, nosy, obsessive, frightened, indecisive, and lots of complaining. That should actually be at the top. When we're not feeling secure and grounded in our real feminine, in our the way of being a real queen, secure, strong, powerful, yet surrendered at the same time, we are just complaining all the time. And women are known to complain, and often women in relationships, what their partner often says is that she complains all the time. And behind that complaint is a desire. And in my coaching, what I help with is how to express that desire. So don't just stop complaining. That's not going to help anyone, because behind the complaint is a need. And I help clients figure out how to express that need without it sounding complaining. So some of the really good qualities of the feminine are tactful, being tactful, so knowing when to speak, knowing how to speak, and knowing how to use your feminine power, because that's where you are most at home, to express what you need or what your thoughts are. Being tactful. One of the biggest high quality feminine traits is being okay with the unknown. And that's what I mean when earlier I said being surrendered. Just literally, I'm leaning back in my chair, literally letting go of the unknown. That is a very, very big feminine trait when you are in your powerful feminine. Being humble, being thoughtful without overgiving. And a wounded part of the feminine is overgiving as well, and I'll go into that another time. Being compassionate, social, sympathetic, graceful, outgoing, attentive, caring, empathic, careful, and verbally skilled. Now this last one, verbally skilled, is a big one, because for me, I can relate to that very much. I am so in touch with my emotions physically and in my feeling world that it's very, very difficult for me to express them in words, especially in a tactful way. So one of the first steps that I teach in my coaching is how to connect with your emotions and how to express them, how to feel them and name them, and then how to express them. So that is some of the basics of what masculine and feminine energy shows up like. And hopefully it will help you understand a little bit better of where you're living in those wounded versus strong traits. And it might help you understand your partner a little bit better as well, right? So until next time, I will see you soon.